For kids like ours, the best learning is fun and interactive. We know so many kids who love IXL because their video tutorials and games just help kids feel smart and successful. Take a moment and check out ixl.com/Kirk. IXL is an online learning program that can be used by any student from K to 12, whether they are struggling in a particular subject or if they're homeschooling. IXL allows our kids to learn at their own pace and be independent. And you know our kids love that. On IXL, kids can explore any topic in any grade level, and they're not forced into a single learning path. Our kids thrive on positive feedback, and IXL consistently reinforces success. Make an impact on your child's learning. Get IXL now. Calm Parenting Podcast listeners get an exclusive 20% off an IXL membership when you sign up today at IXL.com/Kirk. So visit IXL.com/Kirk to get the most effective learning program at the best price. So Cozy Earth has solved a marriage riddle we've struggled with for years because Mrs. Calm and I have different temperature preferences. But since we began sleeping under the heavenly softness of Cozy Earth bamboo sheets, we both have slept much better. Cozy Earth bamboo sheets and pajamas, they're luxurious, but they're also temperature regulating. So we're sleeping deeper and longer. And you can get 40% off with code CALM at CozyEarth.com. Mrs. Calm was also a little jealous of my brushed bamboo pullover because it is ridiculously comfortable and it's stylish. I'm wearing it right now. So you can pair it with jeans and look great instead of frumpy. So I ordered her favorite color. I hung it on her side of the closet as a surprise. Major bonus points for me. Look, you have no idea how much joy clothes can bring when they are this comfortable. So visit CozyEarth.com/Calm. Use my exclusive code CALM for 40% off best-selling sheets, towels, pajamas, and more. And let Cozy Earth know you heard about them from the Calm Parenting Guy. It's CozyEarth.com/Calm with the code CALM for 40% off. So here's the blunt question. What do you do if you have a child whose phone usage is out of control? It's changing his or her moods. It's causing constant conflict in your home. And it often feels like you're held hostage to this technology, this device, and you can't quite figure out what to do. Well, that's what we're going to discuss on today's episode of the Calm Parenting Podcast. So welcome. This is Kirk Martin, founder of Celebrate Calm. You can find us at celebratecalm.com. If you have any struggles, reach out to our son, Casey, Casey, at celebratecalm.com. And tell us about your family, what you're struggling with. We discuss it as a family. We reply to you personally and usually very quickly because our mission is to help you. So let us know how we can do this. So this podcast is going to skew slightly to older kids, right? Kids who have an iPhone or a cell phone. But I encourage those of you with younger kids to listen so you can avoid this scenario playing out in your home at all costs because it's not fun and can actually be really destructive. If you have younger kids, I would encourage you to do what it takes now to reduce your child's reliance on screens. And that means changing your lifestyle. It means leading your kids outside. Look, when we were kids, our parents were like, go outside. They didn't even have to tell us. We went outside. We knew what to do outside. We had freedom to roam the neighborhood, be gone all day, not come home till dinner time. Your kids don't know how to do that. And so you're going to have to lead them. And it's going to take some energy. But we want to replace that screen dependence with purposeful missions and projects that your kids are curious about. I know it's hard. There's no blame. There's no guilt, right, for any of this. It is really hard. And it's so easy sometimes just to give the tablet, the screen to a child because it keeps them occupied and satisfied and content. And then a lot of our kids who are on the spectrum, that predictability of the screen, something they can control, is a lot easier than managing unknowns and social interactions. So that makes it hard too, right? But I want us to be purposeful about this. And I promise you this. You will never, when your kids are older, you will never say, you know what, I wish I would have introduced screens earlier. I wish my kids would have been. You're not going to say that, right? Remember, when you say no to one thing, you have to say yes to something else that's appropriate. So just saying like, no, you can't do that. It's like, well, what can they do? So we're not dealing with general screen usage in this episode. I want to focus almost solely on the usage of cell phones. So let's talk about what I see as, in many ways, an epidemic in modern family life, right? And what I'm spending an increasing amount of time on during our one-on-one phone consultations is this: doing an intervention to rescue kids from their phones and rescue families from this ongoing conflict and fights and stress and all the chaos it creates. See, out of a good heart and good intentions, you gave your child a cell phone so they could connect with friends. That's important to them. For convenience in contacting you, maybe for safety reasons. And you thought you could use it to teach your kids how to be responsible with and also control their technology. But here's what really happened. You unwittingly, again, no blame, no guilt, you unwittingly handed them an addictive device at the height of their social insecurity and their impulsivity, when their world is measured, what happens the next 5 minutes, when their identity is being shaped and swayed by social media forces beyond our control, and while their hormones are changing drastically. And the result is this: their heads are constantly staring down at their phone, furiously texting their friends that are much more important than you are at this age, right? They're being exposed to literally tens of thousands of images and videos and concepts each day that whipsaw their emotions, right? Some kids are being exposed to porn, and they don't know how to establish any boundaries with it, and so they can't put it down. And this device is now controlling and dictating their moods. Your kids have changed. They're less connected, more irritable. They talk back more. Your relationship, the family dynamic, is now governed by this phone, and it produces endless fights. It's constant tug of war. Taking it away, giving it back, taking it away, giving it back. Constant threats back and forth, right? At some point, perhaps you gave in because you just got exhausted and thought, well, at least her grades are still okay, or at least he's connecting with someone and he's not alone. It keeps him occupied and out of our hair. And I understand that. There's no blame or guilt, right? But now it's gone too far, and it's literally tearing your relationship and family apart. And you're now afraid to restrict or even take away the phone, because if you do, your child will freak out. They'll yell for days. They'll give you the silent treatment. Some of them will threaten to destroy your house and perhaps even get physical with you, right? And I take that seriously. But that alone should tell you that it's gone way too far. The fact that you're afraid to do something for the protection of your own child, right? The fact that you are now held hostage by this device and it's controlling your home, that means we've got to do something about it. So you have to act. Now, each family dynamic is a little bit different. This can be tougher and more delicate when both spouses aren't on the same page, or maybe you've got a big, strong teenager being disciplined by a smaller single mom. It happens all the time. I'm just being realistic here. I've been helping parents walk through this step-by-step process of restricting usage of the phone and having good success with it. In some cases, we're taking the phone away altogether. Some cases, we're restricting usage to certain hours, i.e. like phone must be put on the kitchen counter at 10 p.m. We're putting parental controls on the phone. In some cases, we're removing Snapchat or TikTok from the phone. So I wanted to share with you some general principles and some specific strategies, even some scripts, so you have a template for how to do this. Again, in a podcast, I can't get to every single different variation you have in your home, but I hope that this gives you a framework, right, for bringing this up and discussing this maybe with your spouse or with, if you're a single parent, maybe with some friends that are going through the same thing. Discuss this, right? So, number one, when we're talking about restricting, taking away the phone, this is what I want you to know. This is something you are doing for your child, not to them, right? They are physically and emotionally unable to make healthy choices right now for their own good, and that's what your job is as the parent. You're doing this for them, right? restricting phone usage or taking it away altogether, and that's all up to you, is the compassionate thing to do for your child. This device is literally changing their personality. It is harming relationships, and they're kind of helpless to change. So what you are doing for them is a compassionate thing, right? Now, by the way, when we do this, no snotty tone. You know what? If you could have controlled it better, you could have kept it. No, that's unfair. It's unfair what we ask kids to do with something that's so addictive. So no need for the snotty tone. But we're going to do this because it's compassionate and the right thing to do. Number 3, it's the right thing to do. You're not being a strict parent. You're being a responsible parent. And you know this already inside. You know it's the right thing to do. But you haven't known how to do it, or you've been hesitant or maybe even afraid for good reason, right, to take the actual steps necessary because it's really hard to do. It's going to be tense. It's going to be ugly for some time. But it's the right thing to do, so I want you to consider it. Number 4, you've got to have some non-negotiables in your home. For example, hey, no phone usage at the dinner table ever. No, it doesn't, and that includes dad as well, right? Can't be like, kids, you can't use your phone and dad's over there doing it or mom's doing it. No phones at dinner. This is our family rule, right? You only get a few minutes with your teens anyway because they come downstairs, shovel their dinner down, and then ask to be excused. But have some non-negotiables, right? Number 5, you should not dismiss how important the phone is to your preteen and your teenager. At this age, it is critically important and natural that their social connectedness is important to them. Don't minimize it. It is important. They have a great fear of missing out on things with their friends, and that's a very real consideration. So I don't want to just dismiss it altogether, right? Many, if not most of their friends are permitted to text until late at night, sometimes midnight, sometimes 2 a.m., right, or later. So if you make your child turn off his phone at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m., then your teenager is missing out on all the fun texts that happen later at night. So when they walk into school the next day, guess what? They've missed out. And that's very real to them, so don't dismiss it. Number 6, that said, you're the parent. This is not a negotiation. I'm fine with getting buy-in and ownership. We talk about that all the time. But at the end of the day, this is not a negotiation. Your child doesn't really get a say in this. You know best. You pay the bills. It is your house. Again, you are the parent, and I want to give you the confidence to act as a responsible parent. Now, 7, some of this depends on how well the child is handling school, everyday life, and his or her phone, right? Is your child involved in sports or drama club or an extracurricular? How is his or her attitude overall, right? If your child is generally handling life and school pretty well, then you can give a little leeway if you want, as long as that continues, right? But if your child's grades and attitude are suffering, then you need to be more restrictive. This also depends on your relationship with your child. I don't know any way to say this, but this, to be blunt. If you have been an overbearing dad, for example, could be mom, but I'm going to use dads because I'm a man. If you've been an overbearing dad who is always on your child, pointing out what's wrong and not what's right, if you haven't bonded over something and there is a deep-seated anger or resentment between you, then you should work on that first before initiating a difficult conversation. The relationship comes first. So here are some potential action steps. Honestly, I'd wait until the weekend to begin this process so you have time, so you're not rushed, and you can deal with the inevitable fallout of what's going to happen, right? Lately, I've actually dedicated parts of weekends to walking parents through this in real time because it is a hard thing. So let's geek out together for a minute over gut health because I'm really into this. I just learned that prebiotics are the food that help fuel the growth of healthy bacteria, the probiotics, in your gut. So you have to have both. And that's why AG1 helps my digestion, calms my stomach, and keeps me regular. Look, I've loved my morning AG1 routine for years, long before AG1 became a wonderful partner to the podcast. It's a quick, easy win because I start my day with 75 vitamins, probiotics, prebiotics, and whole food sourced ingredients. I just don't have that stomach distress anymore, where that bloating, that kind of interferes with your day and puts you on edge. Plus, my weight is down. I've got energy for this hiking season. I'm drinking my AG1 right now while I'm recording this, and I think you should as well. AG1 is offering new subscribers a free $76 gift when you sign up. You'll get a welcome kit, a bottle of D3 and K2, which I love, and 5 free travel packs in your first box. So check out drinkag1.com/calm to get this offer. That's drinkag1.com/calm to be kind to your gut. So number one, I'd encourage you, determine exactly what you want, right? We want to restrict phone usage to these hours and have the phone off by 9 p.m. on weeknights, and 10 p.m. on weeknights. I just messed that up. And I'm not re-recording this podcast because I'm 12 minutes in. So let me repeat that. So one of our goals may be, let's restrict phone usage to these particular hours, and we want the phones off in the house by 9 p.m. on weeknights and 10 p.m. on weekends. Depends on the age of the kid, right? It could be 10 and 11 p.m. I don't know. That's up to you, right? Screen-free time for 1 hour every evening. Do you want to enforce that? I've done that with some families. Hey, every night from 7 to 8 p.m., no screens. Instead, we sit around bored looking at each other like, what did we used to do before we had phones? But eventually, you know what happens? You end up finding some fun stuff. You end up playing board games. I know your kids are going to be like, you know why they call it board games? Because they're boring, right? Or you get yourself outside or you play games. You find some different things. Not recommending that, although it's a great idea. It's up to you what you do, right? Some of you need to put parental controls on your child's phone. Right? Part of that is controlling access to which websites they visited, right? Some of it is so you can automatically restrict the total number of hours spent on the phone, right? You can do that right from certain apps, right? Some of you may want to take away the phone completely for a period of time, right? And I know, look, your child's not going to like this. No child, and very few humans want to be held accountable. But the truth is, it's for their own good, and that's why they have parents. Right? So I just want you to know this little side note. If you put parental controls and you can see what websites they're on, don't freak out, right? Be realistic about it. Know that some of your kids are going to go to sites that are places where you don't want them to go, but now you know, and you can have an honest discussion about how it's normal to be curious about certain things when you become a teenager, and that's for a separate discussion. But again, it's the same process of you have that discussion, but you're curious about it and you don't get them to shut down. Number two, you may want to frame the entire discussion this way. I like this a lot. Hey, Dad or Mom and I have noticed we are on our phones way too much. Even as adults, we find ourselves distracted. We've got our heads down way too much. So we want to make some changes as a family, and we're wondering, how could we actually do that? How could Mom and I, Dad and I, how could we stop being on screens so much? Right? Now, look, ultimately, it's your decision as the parents. But it would be really good if your kids have a little bit of insight into how to do this. That gives them some ownership. So you could continue on. It may sound like this. Look, son, daughter, we need to apologize to you. We put something in your hands that is highly addictive, and we expected you to somehow have control over it. And that was wrong of us. We set you up for failure. By the way, side note, that takes away the snottiness of, you know what, if you would have learned how to control your phone, we wouldn't have to do that, right? Or we wouldn't have to do this. You're changing around like, no, I apologize to you. I handed this thing to you before you were ready. It doesn't matter what your motivation was. We did it. And now it's controlling you, and our expectations were wrong, and we set you up for failure. And now this thing we gave you is dictating your moods, your personality, our relationship, and our home life. We fight constantly. And that doesn't feel good for anyone. Look, you're just speaking the truth. Now, they won't want to admit it, but they know it's true. We have also noticed that we as the parents have allowed our phones to control us too much. Heads are in screens, we're distracted. Look, I'm anxious because I look at my Twitter feed all the time. It's intruding on my own life and happiness. So here's what we are doing as parents, right? Like no phone at dinner. Mom and I are going to have an hour of screen-free time every evening where we get to talk and connect and interact, right? And I'm going to close one of my social media accounts. I'm going to shut down my Facebook or my Twitter. I'd encourage you lead in this because you probably struggle as well. Why? Because everybody does. It's really hard. So here are some different options. Because your phone is wreaking havoc in your life and affecting your grades and relationships, we're going to take the phone away for a period of X number of weeks. Totally up to you how many weeks or months or altogether. Now, cue a World War III meltdown. You're going to get about it. They're not going to be like, Mom, Dad, thank you for doing what's right. I appreciate that you have the courage to do that, what none of my friends' parents have, right? They're not going to like this, right? Or you could say, from now on, if you want to use your phone, we are going to require that you have parental controls on your phone. And if you keep taking them off or refuse, we will simply cut off service. This is non-negotiable. Of course, they're going to try to negotiate. Of course, they're going to take those parental controls off your phone. And you have to do what you said you were going to do and call Verizon or your phone company and say, we do not need that line anymore, ending in 7907. Cut it off. You have to be willing to do the hard work and put up with all that's coming your way. It could be from now on, no phones ever at the dinner table, and your phone must be turned over every night at 9 p.m. sharp, or 10 p.m. or 8 p.m., whatever you want, without exception, on the kitchen counter where we can see it. And by the way, for the parents, if you need to, take all the phones, lock them up in a safe, put them in a place up in your room, because otherwise you're just inviting your kids to sneak downstairs in the middle of the night and get their phone, right? Let's continue with this. You have every right to be angry and mad at us for putting you in this situation. I expect you to be furious. I expect you to be mad about it. Look, I'm okay with you calling me names, saying how unfair it is that we don't understand how important your phone is. You have every right to do that. But if you think that threatening us or destroying things around the house will help you get this phone back, know that it will have the opposite effect. It will prove to us that we were right, that this device is controlling you instead of you controlling it. And there will be zero chance for you to get it back. So I want you to think before you make any rash decisions. Look, your kids, some of them are going to freak out. They are highly dependent on this. And now they're wondering, like, how can I connect with my girlfriend and all of my friends? And all those things are very legitimate thoughts that they're having. And they're going to react badly around it, towards you. But I do want to set it out right away. If you think that destroying things around the house will somehow cause me to cower and to give in and give this back to you, son, daughter, I want you to know it will actually have the exact opposite effect. You will have proved that you're not in control of this. Look what this is doing. You're threatening to hurt us. You're threatening to destroy things over an electronic device. Now, if you refuse to hand it over to us, that's not going to work either. We'll cancel our service plan. So be angry and mad at us for a few days. Fume about how unfair it is. But then let's problem solve like adults. Truth is, your kids are going to be furious and they're going to threaten you in some manner, probably. They're going to withhold kindness and respect from you. It's going to be ugly. But it's the right and compassionate thing to do. It's your responsibility as a parent. Again, no blame and no guilt. Doesn't mean you have to rush out and do it right now, okay? But this is usually how it ends up working out. after a few days, detoxing from their phones and the constant messages and images, their nervous system will begin to relax again. Right there, these are kids who all of a sudden in life had exposure to all of these images and messages in their face, in their hand, 16 hours a day. And so they become on high alert, and I won't go into everything it does, but they'll begin to relax again. They'll usually become a little bit more pleasant, less stressed, less combative. I'm not going to promise you that they're going to thank you for rescuing them, but they will be grateful to a degree inside because they know that they've struggled with this, and they will even feel the difference. It happens almost all the time. After a period of time, the kids are like, I didn't realize how much that was in control of me. I feel so much better now, right? And inside there's a thank you for doing for me what I wasn't capable of doing. I don't need the thanks. As a parent, I just need to do the right thing because I love my child. Now, I know there are variations, and I know your kids also have laptops and iPads, and they can access their messages there. And so that will have to be included. And then there's the complication at times, right, of, well, they need their iPad to do their schoolwork. How do we cut that out? I don't have time to do all of that in this podcast, but I wanted to give a framework for this, right? Just know that your kids are strong-willed, so they're always going to be fighting you over something, right? And they're going to come back with that persistence, pleading with you to give their phone back. For right now, let's be firm. Let's let this play out. Remember, when you say no to something like this, you have to say yes to something appropriate. That's why we talk a lot about mission and mentor. At this age, I want to get kids engaged in a mission, doing something that they love, that they're really good at, using their natural gifts and passions, accountable to another adult, a mentor, because that is very, very motivating. Other people see good things inside your kids, makes them feel useful and helpful, and it gives them a place to put their brain energy, starting their own business, volunteering at an animal shelter or a veterinarian's office if they're into animals. I've got to fill that with something, right? And so let's find that mission, fill that time and space, something they can throw their energy into with a mentor of some kind, right? And I'll do that on a separate podcast. I hope you found this helpful. I know each situation is a little different. If you want to help me if you want me to help you walk through the intervention, then go to the website, celebratecalm.com, and you look up the mentor tab at celebratecalm.com/call-Kirk. But anyway, you can look it up at the website. We've got in the Calm Parenting package, or the Get Everything package, you get the control screens program, control screens so they don't control you, right? So listen to that. Take the principles we talked about in this podcast and apply it to your own situation. If we can help you in any way, please let us know. That's what we're here for. So you can reach out, Casey, C-A-S-E-Y, at celebratecalm.com. Let us know how we can help you. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Please share this with other parents. I will do more podcasts on screens because there are limitless variations of this, but I hope this framework will encourage you, inspire you, and actually give you some practical strategies to actually get this done in your home. All right, love you all. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.